These are the only two exercises you'll need for big old horseshoe triceps. For over 10 years, I had trouble getting my triceps to grow, but after a lot of researching, trial, and plenty of error, I think I finally cracked the code. Once I put these two exercises in my program, I finally started to see growth, and I think you will too. The triceps are a three-headed muscle, hence the name tricep. You have the long head, lateral head, and medial head. The long head also attaches at the shoulder, and this is important, and we're gonna come back around to this later. The triceps are responsible for two things primarily, that is extending the elbow and extending the shoulder. So long as we do these two things against resistance, we are training our triceps. But it gets a little more interesting once you start digging into the research. Our two exercises will serve two purposes, one being applying as much mechanical tension or weight as possible to the muscle, the other being to stretch the muscle as much as possible. As I've been saying in many of my previous videos, the more you can stretch a muscle under a big load, the better it is for muscle growth. Let's get to the first exercise. First exercise, we have the close grip bench press with a slight modification. Now, again, this exercise will be aimed at applying as much mechanical tension or weight to the muscle as we possibly can. And also, with our modification, we're gonna get a longer range of motion than we would with a regular close grip bench press. So you'll take your position, shoulder blades pinned back, flat on the bench. You want a shoulder width grip. Now, I like to use a suicide grip on this. I just feel a little more comfortable. If you're not comfortable with a suicide grip, go ahead and wrap your thumbs around. You'll unrack. Now, as I said before, we're not doing a regular close grip bench press where we bring the bar to the sternum or the rib cage. You're going to bring the bar more so to your upper clavicle or even toward your neck. Make sure as you're going down, instead of just letting your elbows flare outward, you want to push your elbows up toward the ceiling. That way you're going to get a much longer range of motion at the elbow than you would otherwise get, and you get a nice long moment arm is what it will be called at the tricep, and then extend back up. You may want to not extend fully up into full extension and lose your tension on the muscle. Go to about here, about 2/3 of the way up, and then back down. One more tip for the bottom of this exercise would be, as you're going down, roll your fists forward so the bar is set really deeply in your hand. You're almost going to flex at the wrist, or you pretty much are going to flex at the wrist. That's a much stronger and more comfortable position for the wrist than to be here and accidentally end up in wrist extension, which is going to limit the amount of weight that you can use, and also is probably going to be a little bit painful. So again, we get a longer range of motion at the elbow on the tricep, and we also get to apply a whole lot more weight than we would otherwise be able to with, say, an overhead tricep extension. Moving on. Why is mechanical tension so important? Well, you have two components to muscle growth: mechanical tension and metabolic stress. Mechanical tension being how much weight or resistance is on the muscle. Metabolic stress being the pump. Just think the pump when you hear metabolic stress. The more we've learned about muscle growth, the more it seems like the mechanical tension is by far the most important part. So we always want to have an exercise that we have a long range of motion on, but that also applies the maximum amount of weight possible for a solid to long range of motion. So that's why we're focused on a big compound movement where we can pack on weight with our first exercise. We used to think that because the long head also attaches at the shoulder joint, that exercises like skull crushers and overhead tricep extensions were going to preferentially recruit the long head of the tricep, and tricep exercises with your upper arm at your side, like pushdowns, would primarily recruit the lateral head. We recently found out for the lateral head that it kind of doesn't seem to matter. So long as the muscle is being trained in a stretched position, both the long head and the lateral head will grow plenty. And the lateral head might even grow a bit better with skull crushers and overhead tricep extensions than it does with the push down. So for more reasons than one, we really want to stretch out those triceps. Our second and final exercise will be the rolling tricep extension. Some people call it a skull over, combination of a skull crusher and a pullover, and that's gonna be important here in a second, so kind of keep that name in mind. You'll use 2 dumbbells. For this, I got my nice handy dandy Nuobells Muscle Wiki 5 for 5% off these bad boys. Link in the description. So use both of your legs to get the dumbbells up into position. We want to use a low incline, not too high, but we don't exactly want to be flat either. Lift the dumbbells into position, and then we're going to begin the exercise here. Now you want to break this exercise into 2 parts, essentially. The first part is going to be the skull crusher part. Now, just like I said with our first exercise, the modified close grip, we want to push the elbows forward so we get the longest range of motion possible at the elbow. So don't just stay straight and go into elbow flexion. Force your elbows down so we get a nice long moment arm. So elbows shift forward. That's your first part of the movement. And then we're going to go into the pull over portion. Now back here, you're going to get a huge stretch on the tricep. Then we shift back to this position and extend the elbows back to the start. So skull crusher, pull over, skull crusher. Now, again, as I just said, we get a huge stretch through the tricep. And like I said with the anatomy that we talked about at the beginning of the video, the tricep both extends the elbow and the shoulder joint. So we're hitting both functions of the tricep with this one exercise. Big stretch, lots of mechanical tension, big gains. One more tip on this one, spend a little extra time in that bottom position, hold there for a split second, maybe a 1 or a 2 count, and then when you go back into the concentric, the rolling part of the exercise, treat it explosively. Use that bit of momentum that you generate, that your lats help you with. Your lats are obviously a whole lot stronger than your triceps, to get into the starting position all over again. And then again, take your sweet time on your way back on that eccentric. The triceps, all muscles really are stronger on the eccentric than they are on the concentric. So we're taking advantage of that by using a little bit of momentum to get back to the starting position, and then slowing our way down, spending extra time in that stretch position at the bottom. That's it for today's video, folks. I hope that was helpful. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Check us out in your app store, Muscle Wiki, all one word. I'm Coach Ty with Muscle Wiki, and I'll see you with the next one. Deuces.